Welcome. We're going to be looking at transformations. So this particular Nearpod lesson is going to have two podcasts. The first one is just an introduction to transformations. And you actually have most of this information in your notes in that first little paragraph there. All right, so two-dimensional figures can be moved on a plane in a variety of ways. A transformation is an operation that places an original figure, the pre-image, onto a new figure called the image. This process is called mapping. And I think I even highlighted in your notes a lot of these keywords. Right, so you will need to know these vocabulary words: transformation, pre-image, image, and mapping. So transformation is a change in the size, shape, orientation, or position of an object or function. Right, and that's called a transformation. A transformation is a one-to-one mapping of the points of the plane to new points of the same plane. And I'm just double checking to see, yes, I had you already put that in your notes. That's already in your notes for you. So the starting position is the pre-image and the ending position is the image. There are two different categories of transformations: rigid transformations, which preserve the size of an object, and non-rigid transformations, in which the size of an object changes. And I don't see that I put that in your notes. So it would be a good idea, hint, hint, to add in the underlined part. All right, so rigid transformations, they preserve the size of an object. Non-rigid transformations, size of an object changes. All right, so just add in that underlined part to your notes because I don't see it. Oh, there's plenty of space above there to just write in that part. All right, so you pause the tape so you can write that in, unless you write quickly. And let's learn a little bit more. So an isometry is a transformation that has an image congruent to the pre-image, and that is in your notes. So reflections, and so the correct terminology is reflection. They look like a flip. Translation is the correct terminology. It looks like a slide. You can slide the figure from one place to another. Rotation is a turn. And then a dilation, right, makes an object smaller or larger. Which of these is an isometry? So of these, 3 are isometries. So remember, isometry is a rigid transformation. So you think in your head, or you can call it out loud. You can tell the computer screen. Which of these is a transformation? Right? See if you figured out which of these, they're all transformations. Which of these is an isometry? Well, if you thought that a translation is an isometry, you are correct. And if you thought a rotation is an isometry, you are correct. And if you thought a reflection is an isometry, you are correct. But if you said dilation, that would not be correct. Right? So a dilation is not an isometry, but all the other 3 are isometries. So next to isometry, in your notes, write in reflection, rotation, and translation. Those are all isometries. The dilation is not an isometry because it changes the size. And isometry requires that you don't change the size. That's what rigid means. It doesn't change the size. It just changes the direction it's facing or its placement on the coordinate plane. Or doesn't even have to be on a coordinate plane. It just changes its placement. So reflections, rotations, translations, and dilations are all examples of transformations. We can describe these transformations mathematically using transformational geometry. And that's one of the things we're going to be learning in this series of lessons, is how to describe transformations mathematically. In transformation geometry, figures are changed or transformed in size, shape, orientation, or position according to certain rules. The original figure is called the object or preimage, and the new figure is called the image. We will consider the following transformations in this series of lessons. Translations, where every point moves a fixed distance in a given direction. Reflections, or mirror images. And rotations about a point through a given angle. In a later series of lessons, we'll learn about dilations. Okay? Actually, it'll be next quarter. The order that we're going to do these in is we're going to first look at reflections, and that will be in the next podcast. Then we'll look at translations, and we'll save the ever-tricky rotations for last. Okay? And that's the end of my little introduction here. In the next podcast, which is going to be right in this lesson, we're going to look at reflections. Thanks for watching. Oh, and before you get to the next podcast on reflections, there's some questions for you to answer, some multiple choice questions, just seeing if you understood the content in this podcast. All right, bye for now.